Welcome to AI for Good, the leading, action-oriented, global and inclusive United Nations platform on AI. Organized by the International Telecommunication Union, the United Nations Agency for Digital Technologies, in partnership with 40+ UN sister organizations and co-convened with Switzerland. The goal of AI for Good is to identify innovative applications, build skills and standards, and advance partnerships to solve global challenges. In today's AI for Good event, we are counting on you to use the live video wall feature to ask questions and post comments to help create an engaging discussion. We encourage you to stay until the end to chat, connect, ask questions, and network with our distinguished facilitators and world-class AI experts in the neural network. It is now time to kick off the session and welcome our first speaker. The floor is yours.
Hi everyone, I'm Angela. I'm a third-year undergraduate student at Stanford University majoring in physics. I'm also the president of Stanford's Quantum Computing Association, which is part of a larger organization of university quantum computing clubs called the Quantum Coalition. I'll be moderating today's event, and we're very excited to be working with the ITU to host FLIC, a virtual quantum technology hackathon to celebrate the International Year of Quantum. So with that, let's get started with our panel for today. Our speakers are Daniil, Misha, and Kanav. Would you like to introduce yourselves, maybe starting with Daniil, and then Misha, and then Kanav?
Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel. I'm a third-year undergraduate student at Vanderbilt University. I major in electrical and computer engineering, and I am one of the co-founders of SuperQuantum.
And then Misha.
Hey everyone, my name is Misha Laginov. I'm a research scientist at MIT, also a co-founder of the open source project SuperQuantum, and also I co-founded other companies in the area of optics.
Hi everyone, my name is Kanav Sethia. I'm a co-founder and CEO of QBraid. Happy to be part of this discussion.
Awesome, thank you. And maybe we could start with what SuperQuantum and QBraid are. So maybe Daniil and Misha, if you could start by describing what your company does in one sentence for the audience, and then we'll ask Kanav about QBraid.
All right, sure. I can start maybe, then Daniel will add afterwards. Yes, SuperQuantum. This is the open source. As I said, it's an open source project, so we invite people from everywhere to participate. The main idea is to boost the development of quantum simulators, which are run on classical hardware, and we leverage a blockchain competition to incentivize this development.
Great, thank you. And then Kanav, would you like to describe QBraid?
Sure. We are a one-stop platform for getting access to quantum ecosystem. What does that mean? So the way I like to describe it is, if you want easy access to all the quantum SDKs, quantum software, and hardware access, you can just sign up. We are a Jupyter Lab-based platform where we build a lot of customization and optimizations and geared its market towards quantum computing.
Awesome, thank you. And now for all the panelists, what inspired you to take the leap from research or a prototype into founding a startup?
Okay. Actually, we have an interesting story that SuperQuantum, it started from a hackathon project. And that was back in 2022 at MIT IQHack. And later it turned out into papers, research papers. And last summer, I've been thinking for a long time, maybe deploy it and make the real blockchain application. And then with the help of Daniil and David, they joined, and they helped to develop it to the level where it's now. It's a working, blockchain, and it's running. You can join.
Great. And then, Kanav, would you like to speak on this question?
Yeah, sure. I was a grad student doing PhD in quantum algorithms for quantum chemistry problems, and I contributed to a whole bunch of open source softwares, including Open Fermion, which was Google's initiative on building a quantum software package for doing quantum simulation of quantum chemistry systems. And I also interned at IBM twice and contributed to their Qiskit chemistry back then. And ultimately sort of realized that we might be on the ground floor of something massive getting created. It's not very often that you have a new field in computing itself that gets created. So wanted to contribute towards that and build something unique, and realize that as more and more people would get into the field, they would need easy and most streamlined access to quantum software as well quantum hardware. So decided to build QBrain.
Thank you. And Danielle, do you want to add anything as an undergraduate? Like, what is that perspective of going from research to founding?
Yes, I've participated in a lot of hackathons, especially quantum ones, but to be honest, there weren't like a lot of very promising ideas, I would say. In this specific project in Super Quantum, I have only joined the team, as Amish said, last summer, when he and David invited me to participate and start actually building our blockchain. And since then, it's been a really good time. We've practically completed the work on this project, and we'll be continuing to expanding it from now on. But I can't say anything in particular for the turning the idea into a project, as the idea happened on the hackathon I was not participating in. So yeah.
Cool, thank you. And then my next question is, what is the biggest challenge when turning a quantum hackathon project into a real world business?
Well, it's essentially a hackathon gives like some rough ideas, and this is like, raw prototypes, but to make it work without bugs, to make it stable, that takes a lot of efforts. So that's like a lot of iterations. And then on the other side, it's building the community. So for us, it's not just releasing the software packages on GitHub, but the main thing is how to bring people to participate in this competition to do mining on quantum on the to solve the quantum circuits. So that was I think we quite succeeded, especially within the several months. We have expanded the group of the miners and the community. I think we grew up like from almost 10 people, like friends and family, to now more than 100 people.
Wow, thank you. And as a follow-up, Misha, how do you decide whether an exciting quantum technology or idea makes sense business-wise, or to create it into a business?
Actually, from hackathon, it was quite an absurd thing to try to combine blockchain and quantum. So we started from just having fun, like, okay, let's do something what no one else is doing, because at that time, a lot of people would talk about something like a post-quantum encryption protocols, and we're like, all right, let's leave it for them, and how about we go somewhere where no one tried to implement it, let's say. How we would ask ourselves a question. So blockchain, for example, like Bitcoin, it already has like a circulation of, I don't know, like a lot of money flow through the system. And then in the quantum world, I could see that it's mostly or would live on the grants. So we were thinking like, how about can we get a fraction of this, the blockchain business, and try to divert some of the money towards the quantum computer, and perhaps those money will help to develop the next generation of quantum computers, like similar as, for example, happened in the Bitcoin, like to develop ASIC for mining. So that was our like inspiration to try something new, to play with it. It turned out into some small research projects. Then we tried to bring the quantum computers. It's, I would say at that point, miserably failed because current quantum computers, you know, they have the problems with the error rates. So we tried a few ideas, but then I decided to focus more on the quantum simulators, because we noticed that there is a problem. Like usually the companies would develop quantum computers, but everyone is really forgetting about the quantum simulators. And I think this is an essential thing. So after the several pivots, we finally found the ground on which we can play and be helpful to the community.
Great, thank you. And for Kanav, what are some of the funding options available for early stage quantum startups, and how can founders best position themselves to attract investors?
Yeah, I think the best options is if you're studying at a big university, many of the times there are various university programs geared towards supporting students through their entrepreneurship journey. And those programs are quite good, and they act as a stepping stone towards much bigger goals. So I would encourage for people to check out those programs. So for example, we were part of various programs at Dartmouth and MIT. So MIT has wonderful programs, including MIT Sandbox, Delta V. And if you go through those programs, they prep you for their demo days, and they tell you all the things you would need to know for your entrepreneurship journey. They'll provide a lot of mentorship, pair you with a lot of industry folks who will guide you through various processes. And ultimately, at the demo day, such programs do attract a lot of potential investors, where if things work out, you can land your first round of funding. And then if not, you can apply to much bigger programs such as Y Combinator. And then there's many others similar programs that come with much bigger investment as part of the accelerator. And those are very good programs as well.
Great, thank you for the advice. And for Daniel, what advice do you have for teams who want to keep building after a hackathon but don't know how to start or how to continue?
Well, I think one of the kind of prerequisites that you need to have is to have the rest of the team that you worked on the hackathon to be committed to working on this idea further, because quite frequently when you work on something like hackathon, everybody else just gets tired after it finishes and doesn't want to work on it anymore because they've just given it all to this idea. And I think the toughest part is, yeah, to just assemble this team again, continue working on it, and bring it further and start developing just after that. So yeah.
Awesome. And now we have an audience question. For all the panelists, is there a particular point that your customers, a particular pain point that your customers have that you did not anticipate when you started, and how did you find out about it?
I can take that one. I think there's constantly more and more things you find out as you roll out your product in the wild. As people start using it, there's multiple ways you can learn of their pain points. And I mean that's the whole point of running and building a business around a tech product, where in order for you to be successful, the iteration loop needs to be part of what you're doing. And in fact, I would argue, like, if you build for a couple of years and if your business has been around for a few years at least, then you'll see most of the product is actually geared towards the pain points you found out along the way, not just the initial one. So initial one will be one big one for sure, but then there's whole product will be built around the things you learned along the way.
And my view on the like customers or like communities pain points is that so from my vision on the quantum computing industry, I see that we don't really have like killer application of quantum computers. We don't know like which task the quantum computers can do much better than any other solution. So there are some guesses, and we are still, I mean, like there is a company who do the hardware, there's like the software teams, and they try to find what are the real applications. So I see the situation that's like similar as in back in like beginning of the 20th century, end of the 19th century, there was a Crookes tube. And a lot of scientists were just given this piece of equipment just to try to play with it. And a lot of, probably like a dozen of Nobel laureate level discoveries turned out of this Crookes tube. So the way I see like quantum computers nowadays, it's like this Crookes tube, and we just need to play with it and try to find out what works and what not. And I believe that some of the things we can't really predict from the very first principle. So that's why, at least for us, we would try that way, kind of see how both of these two technologies merge, and maybe something will come out of it.
Definitely, the unknown is very exciting. And so building on that previous question, can you each share a moment when something went totally wrong, but you learned something invaluable from that experience? And yeah, feel free to take a moment to think.
Okay, I mean, I guess I have already mentioned that, but so at the very beginning, there was, let's say, that was the pivot for super quantum, is that originally we tried to rely on quantum computers, bring them into the network, into this competition network, but then we failed on the side. I mean, we failed on this idea because, first of all, those computers are not decentralized. They're mostly, at that time, we're most like using the IBM ones, which were like open to the public. Most of the computers are closed to the public. And the second thing was the performance of those computers. So that when you run the test, the outcomes were very uncertain. So the errors were too high to even run like some of those like partial verifications. So that was the failure, like making the bets on actual quantum computers. And then we shifted towards something which is more predictable and widely available. So the quantum simulators, which could be run on, for example, NVIDIA cards.
I honestly don't have like a very concrete example. I mean, things definitely go wrong all the time, and those are learning experiences, but nothing concrete comes to mind.
No worries. Do you have maybe like a piece of advice throughout your journey that you give to the audience?
Okay, maybe I can start. I've been participating in a number um, of this entrepreneurial projects. So one thing I would like to say that this journey, it's not going to be easy. So nothing happens like overnight. One person just gets a great idea, implements it, and it works. So be prepared that it's going to fail. It's going to fail many times. You're going to pivot a lot. You just need to have this perseverance of working towards your goal. In terms of timeline, I would say that you can do almost anything in 5 years and you can do almost nothing in 6 months. So be prepared for a long run.
That's a very good advice. One thing that could allow you to build for 5 years is also finding good partners, finding a good team. So definitely pay a lot of attention and thought to who you decide to work with. That's going to be crucial. 5 years is a long time. And even if things don't work out, you want to be in a position where you're still happy.
Definitely.
As I said before, David and Misha invited me to work on this super quantum project, more specifically Qubitcoin, in the beginning of the summer. And initially, when they told me about it, I was really unsure about if I want to go forward with it, mostly because I was unsure about if I had enough knowledge and enough skills to work on what they asked me to work on, and if it will eventually work out, because I thought basically that I wasn't proficient enough in what was asked of me to work on it, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to try it. And as you can probably guess, I tried to work with them, and it turned out great. So my best piece of advice that I can give is, if you're unsure about trying to do something, just try to do it for some time. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't. But if it works out, it's going to be great. So yeah, that's my advice.
Awesome, thank you. And now moving on to another audience question. What is a step-by-step actionable checklist that you'd suggest for establishing the business end-to-end from the project prototype?
Yeah, that's a tough. I think I don't think there is any like golden recipe. So it's I mean, I would maybe recommend like the resources, something like what is given, maybe like by Y Combinator approaches. But overall, I think is you need to have, of course, you would start from the idea. You first need to persuade yourself that this is worth doing, and then you would need to build a team. So the most difficult task is probably bringing a co-founder or someone, the first person who would believe in that idea as well. And I think this is quite a difficult task. I mean, after that, when you're like one or two of course is better, or even more, you would start building, bringing more people. So yeah, keep building the team and work towards your goals. I think just assess what is the most, what are the priorities. Like I would try to focus, set like one priority task per day and try to do it instead of going multiple ways, so which could distract you. I don't know, this is like a few 2 cents from me on how to handle the situation, but you know, the way to do it, it's for everyone is different.
Yeah, I think mostly so that question is a bit complicated. If the person's asking for mechanics of creating a company and going through registering it, I mean, having a corporate structure, all of that, that's an easy answer. And you don't actually need us at this point. Like you just ask ChatGPT and it'll generate like 10-step process. It's the more human component that Misha alluded to. That's the difficult part. And that everybody's journey is going to be very different. To some people, it comes very naturally. They don't even think twice about making a whole bunch of decisions as to there are like few people who would have amazing, awesome jobs lined up at big tech companies, and they'll say, nope, not even gonna think twice. I can't imagine not doing a startup. There'll be other people who would need to sit down and weigh the options and so on. So it's a very um, personal thought process that you're gonna have to figure for yourself. And the resources that Misha mentioned and Danielle mentioned, um, just find like good team. Bunch of resources are already available at Y Combinator and a whole bunch of other accelerators. A few good pointers to would be also like Paul Graham's essays, where they help you navigate these tricky situations with team building, thinking through whether I have a good enough idea that it could work or not, and so on.
Definitely. Thank you. And now for more quantum specific, since it is such a niche field, how do you ensure you can scale and reach a wider audience?
It's an open question. Nobody's figured it out yet. And there are two ways to look at it. Like one, oh my God, that's scary. Two, oh my God, that's the most exciting thing. It's like if that is going to be a tricky problem, and you need to be excited by it. Because as I think both Misha and Danielle pointed out, there are some hints about what you can actually do with these quantum computers, but it's not a done deal. So if quantum computers can't even do anything useful, then as a non-customer, why would anybody pay for these things, right? If they don't even fully work and add anything of value. Um, the bet is as these machines improve, there are hints they will do certain things much, much faster and provide a lot of value. And now, what does the path to that value looks like? What the software required will be? That's an exciting problem where you have an opportunity to create that thing, to create something of value for the future, and in the process, add value to the society, and if you're lucky, make also a lot of money doing so.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to contribute? Okay, I'll ask another question. About in working on your company, have you identified any additional opportunities for a separate project that might branch off? And if so, what areas are the most promising?
Our main and first project, as we talked before, is a blockchain, which is based on writing hash functions using quantum simulations, which the main goal of this project is to advance the speed and the efficiency of quantum simulators, the classical quantum simulators, I mean. And naturally, after kind of finishing and expanding on this idea, we decided that we could work on creating, based on like our experience with what we worked on creating our own quantum simulator. And this is the area we're exploring right now, and we'll probably try to work on it in the near future.
So that sounds really exciting.
One of the exciting areas that I'm starting to get excited about is AI for quantum and quantum for AI. It's going to be a very, very cool idea, and there's a lot of opportunities. AI, as has been clear for a few years now, is a very cool technology that seems to be adding value to almost every tech sector, at least. And I believe that it's going to be true of that of quantum computing as well, where you can use AI for circuit optimization, you can use AI for pulse engineering, you can use AI for various different ansatz for various variational quantum algorithms. And you can also use AI for quantum computing for AI. It's a tricky thing, but quantum computing for AI has been explored a little bit, and so has AI for quantum. But both of these areas are starting to show a tremendous amount of promise. I used to think that quantum for AI might not be the best direction, but in more recent months slash year, I'm starting to see some cool results that make me go, oh, maybe like let's not just completely dismiss that area. There might be something there.
For sure. And keeping with you, Kanav, how important is building the right team when moving from a prototype to a startup? And what kind of skills or roles should founders prioritize?
That's a tough question. As I gave the advice, I also realized that even though I gave that advice, it's not very easy to take that. When you're just starting off, I look back at my journey. It's like you got no resources. You basically have some idea. It is incredibly hard for anyone to convince other people to come and join your team, right? So as a founder, you automatically have basically no option other than let people join you. And so whoever ends up staying, building with you sort of becomes your default option. It's just maybe this idea of me saying that makes you more cognizant throughout your journey and allows you to say no to at least few people if you do have choice. Many times you absolutely don't have choice. It's like human resources, financial resources, looking at customers. If you've got no customer and customer comes in with a bunch of money and asks for a whole bunch of extra features, which may not align for your bigger vision of the company, you might still do it thinking, oh, I'm going to have customer. We will figure things out. So it's the same idea that applies for founders as well. What I would say is picking out the right people from small interactions is going to be hard, which is why I definitely encourage you to work with someone for 3 to 6 months, but be brave enough, be courageous enough to make hard decisions. Because if you're not happy working with someone, and if you won't be happy failing with someone, then maybe it's not worth doing, because failing while doing this is going to be a big, big probability event. And you want to come out happy, fulfilled, like having done those things, even if it doesn't work out.
Definitely, thank you. And Misha and Daniel, would you like to add to this question about kind of how to build a team?
Sure. It's actually reminds me at some point as it's like, as a like relationship field. So it's like on one side, no one is perfect. So everyone has its own good parts and bad parts. It's just you need to find out whether you can understand that and you can deal with these things. And like searching for the ideal partner, that's probably not gonna you're not gonna find it. So it's a matter of how you see like the culture of your company and the people around you and whether you see it will work for you or not. But overall, yeah, I can have already walk through this the major things.
Great, thank you. The next question, the quantum startup ecosystem is still emerging. So what are some unique opportunities or gaps that entrepreneurs can tap into today?
Sorry, may I ask you again to repeat the question?
Yeah, of course. So the quantum startup ecosystem is still emerging. And so what are some either unique opportunities or kind of gaps in the market that entrepreneurs can tap into today?
Well, yeah, I think that's the beauty of the field, that it's a lot of gaps still exist. Everything is developing quite fast. Like, I mean, there's like a lot of, as you can see, like on the hardware side, I'm more like familiar, let's say, with the hardware companies. So, like the development is going up, and this opens the path for software to build on top of that. I feel like it's probably the cycle. So we have even on the side of like AI, the LLMs develop, we have the agents, we have the reasoning abilities. Like every month or every, I don't know, every week, every month, there's something comes out. On the same as like the classical hardware. NVIDIA chips are getting better, quantum computers are getting better. So it's a great time. It's great and exciting time to be in that area, to implement these new tools, kind of building on top of each other. So like standing on the shoulders of the giants, and I use these new technologies.
Yeah, I think
Definitely.
similar to what Misha mentioned, and I believe I already touched upon this AI for quantum, that's right for like right totally open right now. So if you can do something cool in that area, deliver real value, I believe that could be very cool.
And a brief follow-up, Kanav, on what you mentioned about some progress about quantum for AI that has like changed your mind. What were some of those ideas that you found exciting?
So there are two or three ideas there. One, I think there are a few papers by the QCware team where they did some image classification with quantum neural networks, quantum convolutional neural networks, that where they found that you can train quantum neural networks with much fewer parameters, and there might be a favorable scaling there. And so that was cool. The other idea is in the realm of using quantum computers as reservoir. So reservoir computing is a paradigm of machine learning that has been known for some amount of time, but using quantum computers as a reservoir, we've explored a little bit of that at QBraid as well, and we've seen some very cool results. And again, it's not a done deal, especially because how good machine learning models have gotten on classical computers. But it seems like there might be little more power due to the exponential space associated with a quantum computer. And it's always an open question, like quantum computers do come with an exponential Hilbert space attached to it, but it's also an open question whether you can use that to do anything useful or not.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And now, kind of a more fun question. If you could collaborate with any organization or company in the quantum ecosystem, who would it be and why? And maybe we can start with Daniel.
Well, as I said before, our blockchain project is based on running quantum simulations as efficiently as possible to gain the most advantage in our proof of work system and to mine the most blocks, essentially. So I think it would be great if we could do some kind of collaboration with some company which specifies in doing efficient quantum simulators. So one of them is definitely quantum rings, which we've personally talked about some kind of collaboration with. And I think it would be great if we could do it, as their quantum simulation software seems to be the most efficient in terms of its performance, and it could be very well integrated into our software packages to facilitate a more performant mining methods.
Yeah, I would also add from my side that I would be really excited to work with the leaders of the who develop the chips which can be used for classical quantum simulators. So like NVIDIA, for example, or someone who can develop and make the ASICs specifically, which could compute efficiently those quantum circuits with native gates. And on the other hand, that would be the companies who make quantum computers, hardware, and the ones which has like the best performance in terms of fidelity of the gates and low error rates. Yeah, no, like maybe Google AI, I mean, or let's say anyone, yeah. Google Eye or the Atom based, like, I don't know, IonQ Query, someone like that.
Yeah, fortunately for us, I think we are in a fortunate position that we already work with almost everyone we want to work with. We perhaps might be one of the most connected quantum company in the world. We get to work with IBM, QEra, IonQ, Xanadu. Yeah, almost every company that I can think of, we've had some interaction with them, and many times their software or hardware is already available on Cuprate. There are few companies that I'm particularly excited to be building much stronger relationships with. But yeah, it's been a fortunate position.
Awesome. It seems like there's a lot of opportunity for collaboration in the quantum ecosystem.
That's something, yeah, I would like to highlight because the field is so early and there's so much money to be made together. Generally, people are very collaborative.
For sure. That's great to hear. And so now, if someone here has a great idea from Flick in the audience who's participating in the hackathon, what are some next steps that they can take to move their idea forward? And maybe we could start with you, Kanav.
Sure. I would say if you are confident that this could work as a business, definitely check with few people in the community. I don't know, reach out to a few people, write to them, get a sense whether people would be willing to pay for it, post it on Reddit, a few other forums, get a sense for it. If you are sure, then yeah, apply to some of the accelerators, form a company, and then find teammates, sort of the process we described earlier.
That sounds like a good idea. And Misha and Daniel, do you have any advice for the audience?
Yeah, I feel like we're already repeating the same question. Yeah, so it all starts from the idea, and then building the team around it. So yeah, you need to, if you believe in that and you feel like, or at least you need to explore it, test the idea from different sides, test that this is something what people really need, if especially you're going like on the startup territory. Yeah, make, I guess that's what Y Combinator says, right? Make something what people need.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Yeah, so our very last question is kind of more speculative. What year do you think quantum computing will be truly scalable?
Is it scalable or some useful, how it's called, utility era? I mean, it already scales up.
Yeah, I guess.
With what the rate it is, there's like, Moore's law in electronics where the number of, or like the performance of the chips is increasing twice every 18 months or 2 years. So we have, I think there are similar laws in quantum computing as well.
Yeah,
So,
maybe I'll modify the question a little bit and ask like, what year do you think we can achieve like fault-tolerant quantum computing?
oof, that's like an ultimate goal. Um, I, again, it all goes like to the numbers because there is, let's say, there's like error rates, there's like the roadmaps for 10 to minus 10. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm Oracle, but I think within 5-10 years it should be doable. But then on the other side there is like a joke that someone would ask a professor giving a talk like when the quantum computers will become useful, and he says, oh, this will happen in 5 years, and then 5 years later he's asked the same question and he says again, oh, it's in 5 years, and the audience is like, what's going on? Just 5 years ago you promised that it will happen in 5 years. He's like, yes, I just didn't change my mind.
I echo Misha's point. I think like 5 to 10 years should be doable, but there are like many nuances to it. To some level, we've already had like experiments where it's been demonstrated you increase the qubit number and the error rate goes down. And now it's just a question of like increasing the qubit numbers, error rate goes down, you have a logical qubit that lives longer. Now, then there is going to be more questions around, okay, how much longer do you actually want for the qubit, logical qubit, to remain in a coherent state before you say it's for all matters and purposes, it's infinite. So there's a bit nuanced answer, but roughly 5 to 10 years as things scale. I think that seems about right, I would say. 10 years, hopefully, yeah, we should have it. Otherwise, there'll be some tricky questions to answer.
For sure.
Or maybe there
Hey,
will be also
also,
some
sorry.
exciting, byproducts. So which we cannot see right now, but when we move towards the goal of increasing the number of qubits, decreasing the error rates, maybe something else will come by.
I also want to put the upper bound at approximately 10 years, but I honestly don't want to sound too sure about it because as a student, I haven't been in quantum for long enough time. And I don't want to be like one of those people who said the same thing about 10 years ago. So yeah, I'll just leave it at probably in 10 years, but I'm not sure about it.
Sounds good.
I like how Seth Lloyd usually answers the question, 10 years plus minus infinity.
That's a great answer to end on. So yeah, with that, we'll wrap up the session. Thank you so much to our panelists for a really wonderful conversation today, and hope the audience enjoyed this panel. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you for participating in today's AI for Good session. We hope you've learnt something new, innovative, and engaging in today's event. We now encourage you to continue the conversation on the live video wall in the neural network. Here you can ask questions, like and comment, share links, complete the poll, connect with interesting profiles, or speak one-on-one using the chat and video function. We invite you to explore the lobby, try the smart matching quiz, visit the virtual exhibits, poster boards, the e-shop, and build your personalized AI for Good program. Let's shape the future of AI for good.